can be said about General Gray. I mean, 29th Commandant of the Marine Corps. He was my division commander when I was with Weapons Company, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. And the first time I actually saw him, we were out in the field, and this Jeep pulled up, and everybody, tension on deck. And he said, no, don't worry about it. And he came over, and all the battalion commander and everybody was coming towards him. And he said, I don't want to talk to you guys. He said, I want to talk to the PFCs and the young guys. And so he came out, and he's real personable, smacking people on the deck. And he saw one Marine with a big chaw of chewing tobacco. And he says, what do you got in your mouth, Marine? And he said, I think he said Skoal or Copenhagen or Beech Nut or whatever it was. And then the general says, you got any more? And so he reached into the kid's bag and pulled out this big hunk, and he's got a big chunk in the side of it. He starts chewing a little bit, and he spits. And everybody's looking around like, this is a CG, you know, this guy's pretty interesting. But just an amazing individual. We were at 8th Marines. We went to Beirut, 83. We came back. He came to Beirut a few times while we were there, along with General P.X. Kelly. As an individual, as a Marine, as his legacy, General Gray, he stands up there with General Holcomb. He stands up there with General John A. Lejeune. He changed how we did maneuver warfare in the Marine Corps, which is significant because everything was a very set pattern up until right after World War I or World War II. And then we had the different conflicts in Korea and Vietnam and Grenada and Beirut. So his legacy is, and there's my mind is going through this Rolodex of things that he's done, and it's hard to really put in context, but I would say it was the maneuver warfare that started it, but he significantly made improvements to our intelligence capabilities with his signals background, and he was doing cyber before cyber was even a word, because of the communications intercepts, working with the NSA and the naval security activities around the world. Basically, I would say he's the grandfather of cyber warfare. So now everything, our weapon systems are computers now. And so General Gray was instrumental in starting it in the DoD. Nobody really looked at a lot of that stuff. And after I left Beirut, I went onto embassy duty, and I was working with what's called an OAS 180 VS 180 system. And I thought, I'll never get involved with these computers, and then forced to throughout the Marine Corps. And then I think General Gray changed that for the better, but it took me a while to get used to, because I was a straight leg grunt. And so General Gray, his legacy is, there's not a Marine today that wouldn't go back if General Gray said, okay, you know, the stuff has hit the fan. We need anybody to grab a rifle. There would be guys out there with wheelchairs and walkers with, you know, a pintle-mounted machine gun on their walker if General Gray was leading the party. So there's he's like a god to us. And I shouldn't say that because, but he is. We put him up on this pedestal, and I think that he's got the General Gray Research Center out of Quantico, the Museum of the Marine Corps here. When they build the museum, the Carolina Museum, will be as part of his legacy. So he's done so much in the Marine Corps. But just as an individual, everyone that I've ever talked to, and I'm not trying to put any what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to put any specifics on General Gray, and who am I to talk about a four-star general, our commandant? But the guy is, he's just an amazing individual. He changed the way we do warfighting in the Marine Corps and the DoD with the signals intelligence.
Out of the core values of the Marine Corps, what inspires you the most?
I would say I have to say loyalty up and down the chain of command, because he taught us to think out of the box. And I remember one quote. It's he was we're out in the field, and it says, "We're going to train the way you're going to fight." And so we took it and we learned to learn our jobs 2 levels up and 2 levels down. And so he gives us the commander's intent that we would know exactly what to do. And so his leadership, and it affected everybody. It was just it was very infectious, because he gave everything 100%, and he gave his guidance, and everybody knew exactly what he wanted them to do, and everybody down the chain of command knew exactly what the commander's intent was.
How do you feel about Jacksonville and Onslow County as a home to the Marines? What does that mean to you?
Jacksonville and Onslow County, when I first got here, there was a little contentious relationship with the Marines and the way things were done, because the Marines, after Beirut, the relationship between the base and the city and everywhere in the county became solidified. And so the Beirut, there wasn't anybody, I don't think, in the county that was not affected by what happened in Beirut and Grenada, because everybody knew someone that was involved, all the churches in town. So the relationships got better, I would have to say. But the people here looked at the Marines a little bit differently. Unlike a lot of Vietnam vets, you heard the stories of these guys getting, spit on coming through the airport and called baby killers and all these things. And but after Beirut, I can remember we pulled into the port of Morehead City. It was 7 December, Pearl Harbor Day, and the streets were lined. There was bands, and there was yellow ribbons all the way right in here to Jacksonville. So the relationship was just amazing. Completely different than what 3 years ago when I first got here as a PFC.
Is there anything, special memory that you have? Funny memory, sad memory of Jacksonville?
Yeah, we were in the base theater right before we were getting ready to deploy to Beirut, and everybody's sitting there, and then tension on deck, and everybody stood up, and General Gray walked up. Marine had a pack of chewing tobacco again, and General Gray grabbed it out of his hand, ripped it open, put it like half of it in his mouth, walks up on stage, threw the trash on the ground, chewed it a bit, and he took it out, put his fingers in his mouth, and slapped this wet pile of chewing tobacco onto the stage, and everybody stood up and cheering, a standing ovation, basically. And everybody starts laughing, because that's the type of person he was. He was down to earth, really just an amazing individual. His call sign's Papa Bear, and so, and he looks like it. He looks like a big teddy bear, but you can poke a bear and then you're going to see what happens. But he's just an amazing individual.